If you feel like 2024 was one of those years where it could have gone your way, but it didn't, and it ended up just failing and falling apart, then you're not alone, honestly. You have these big goals, you set them, you have your high hopes and that dopamine rush that comes along with it. And you think, yeah, you know what? This could be my year. This could be where things change and I become a different person, but it just doesn't happen. Here you are wondering why it didn't work out whilst everyone else seems to be moving forward. And you may be thinking, well, what am I doing wrong? And surely I'm the only one who's failed in 2024. And what's the point of trying in 2025 if I'm just going to fail again? I've been there. In fact, I started 2024 so well and I felt like things were improving, but then I lost all the momentum by the end of the year and sat back looking at it thinking, well, what a wasted opportunity. But here's the thing, failure is not the end. In this video, I want to share my biggest failures of 2024 because I feel like it's important that more people on YouTube and social media in general just be more honest and real with themselves and the audience because that's what you guys deserve. And I want you to also take into account some of the mindset shifts that I've been having slowly as well throughout the last couple of weeks as I've taken a break from YouTube and as I just had more time to reflect on my own thoughts and where I want to go with not just this channel, but my life in general. And I want you to also learn how to take your own failures and turn them into lessons to help make your 2025 a great year. So, without further ado, I want you to sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So, what were my biggest failures in 2024 and how did it affect me? Well, let me start with the biggest. Picture this, it was October and I've made such good progress in my career and to an extent my side hustle as well. Content was starting to flow out a bit, more ideas were coming along. Certain creators have given me frameworks to really start getting some momentum into my content game. But then I thought, why not try and start finding a partner? And it's one of those situations where it almost kind of happened in an instant where I thought one day, literally, let me just have a light search, let me start looking because I feel like I'm at the stage where slowly I can start to have a look, put my name out there, nothing too big, nothing too audacious. And very quickly it just turned into me scouring a couple of apps and, scrolling hour after hour. It would get to a point where it'd be 11 a.m. I've done 2 hours of work. What do? Just scroll for an hour. And that would just make me lose all my energy, my momentum, and also, the other thing about obsessively diving into something is it takes up a lot of your mental space and you spend a lot more time thinking about it than you really should. And now, thankfully, I snapped out of that after a little while, I'd say. I say a little while, it took me a couple of months. But I think what I realized was some important lessons to take forward, not just productivity wise, because that's always great, but also in terms of finding the right person. There are some important lessons that I've learned. But if you want me to share my experiences from that chaotic couple of months, then put it down in the comments, let me know, and I'll make a video on that. But that was probably my biggest failure of 2024 because up until October, it was so great. I felt like things were coming along really nicely, and then that just undid all my progress, and I felt like crap after that. So that was my biggest failure. And again, like I said, how did it affect me? Well, it just made me overthink and be a bit obsessive, a bit too obsessive over checking and seeing if anyone had responded. Hey, it's just like a normal social media app, right? It's where if you don't get a notification from someone, you're just kind of like waiting to see if someone will pop up, and it's like 11 a.m. in the morning. And, crazy, man. But it did also show me that, I think, in my opinion, the right person is not on an app. At least for me personally, and what I'm looking for is out there in the real world away from the screen. But hey, speaking of focus and all the good progress I'd made throughout the year, I think my biggest failure ever since I've started this content creation journey. In fact, let's play a game. I'm going to list out some of the things that I was working on last year. So, number one is obviously growing this YouTube channel. Number two is excelling in my 9 to 5 career. Number three was trying to learn a whole new field, data analytics, so I could pivot into that. Number four was getting big on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. Number five was launching and propelling a newsletter. Number six was starting a side hustle coaching business. Number seven was helping my dad out with his own cricket coaching stuff. You see where the problem is? I was focusing on 7 different things. By the way, all 7 quite big. When I sat back and thought about it over the last couple of weeks, I have realized that it's just taking on too much. And that's what you don't want to do, especially when you're doing a lot of things on your own. Shout out to my editor. He's the only other person who works with me on this content creation journey. But other than that, it's a one-man band. So you don't want to spread yourself too thin, especially when you've got a 9 to 5 job as well. You don't want to work a 9 to 5 and then come home and realize, oh gosh, I've got so much to do when it comes to content. Some people can just grind through it. I'm not that kind of guy. I like to plan things out a bit more and just be a bit more relaxed when it comes to these things. I'm not a hustle culture guy, and you shouldn't be either heading into 2025. Staying on the theme of taking on too much, I actually fell into burnout right at the start of the year in January in 2024. And burnout is not a nice place to be. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. I'll be very real. With all the things that I was juggling and taking on and all of the overthinking that I do in my head here, I just mentally was exhausted. Yeah, I was going through the hamster wheel of uploading content regularly and just trying to make things work in my career as well. And thankfully, I would say my body didn't let me down. I was still going to the gym and working out regularly because that's also important. You need a release from your work, whether you're a content creator or whether you're a person in a 9 to 5 professional career or whatever you're doing, you need to take a break from time to time. But unfortunately, I didn't take a good enough break. And maybe, but that's compounded by the fact that only in December and the final 2 weeks of the year did I actually take a proper break from work. Otherwise, I was working throughout the year. I only took maybe 3 to 4 days off apart from December, which is mad, by the way. So, again, please do not make my mistake and completely burn yourself out because your mind and your body will not thank you for it. I think the final failure of 2024 to really nail down my point that I made at the start of the video in the intro, that is, I let fear hold me back. There's a lot of video ideas I had and some qualifications I wanted to think about doing as well, but I just stopped myself from doing it because I was scared. I was thinking, what if some people see this and they don't like it? What if this gets no views? What if this fails? What if I get rejected? What if I get turned down? So that's what held me back, and procrastination, of course. But for me, fear led to that procrastination, and that procrastination just kept me in a comfort zone where I was never able to come out. There were times where I really felt I needed to do something important, but I would just sit away and play on my PlayStation for a couple of hours and numb the pain away. So trust me, you're not the only one who does that as well. I've been guilty of that in the past a lot. And I think linked to that as well is just the fact that I had this spotlight effect on me. Picture this, when you go to the gym and you're working out, do you ever feel that, especially if you've just started going to the gym, by the way, and this even happens to someone like me who's like 2.5 years down the line of working out. Although I don't have much to show for it yet, but hey, maybe soon. Do you ever feel that when you're in the gym, you feel like everyone's watching you and you're trying to do an exercise? Maybe you're trying to push your personal best, but you don't want to go too far because then you feel that if you struggle and you fail, then people look at you and think, oh, this guy's weak. Or if you're doing some cardio, you don't want to do cardio because then people might look at you and think, oh, this guy's a loser. Why is he doing cardio for? I had those similar type of thoughts, or, oh, is anyone watching me doing my exercise? I want to make sure my form's right, but I might look like an idiot to someone else. These things held me back when it came to my content creation and other areas of my life as well. So I really don't want this to happen to you, because what you say to yourself in your mind and how you let your mind dictate things for you in your life has such a powerful effect on whether you get closer to achieving your potential, whether you just wither away and don't do anything with it. And the final part of this section of the video is that social media played a very, very big role in just keeping me in my comfort zone. Social media is a place where you see people's best lives, whether they're out at expensive restaurants, going on holidays, taking time off work, getting a new job, getting loads of money, and it makes you feel like you've been behind in life. And I've made a video on this before as well, so please check that out if you feel that you're in a really bad spot right now. But that really perpetuated the feeling of me feeling behind in life and just generally feeling like I was having a crap year. I'll be very real. So I know what it feels like to see people succeeding and feeling much further behind than they are while you feel stuck in place. And it's hard. It really is hard when you're struggling because you feel like you're the only one who's going through that. But in reality, there are loads of other people who aren't sharing those struggles. They're quiet about it. But now there are other YouTubers I see who are being more open about their failures and what they've learned from it. So definitely seek that out as well, because social media is not this pretty happy place that a lot of content creators would want you to believe. So those were my biggest failures in 2024 and how they affected me. So far, it sounds depressing. I'm not gonna lie. It sounds like there's no hope and you're just gonna be stuck in this limbo forever. But I don't want to stay in this negative vibe. I want to show you instead how I'm trying to change my mindset and approach to make 2025 and beyond better for myself, and hope that you can do the same. Here's what's changed for me, and it's a hard shift to make, but it's worth it in the end. Failure is not the end. It's just feedback to take forward. If you've ever played Super Mario or any other platformer game and you miss a jump and you fall off the map, yeah, you die technically in game, but you go straight back to where you were before and you have another chance to go through it again and again and again. So that's kind of helped me understand that, just because you failed at something once doesn't mean that you're never going to succeed at it. You just got to try again. And I know it just sounds like stereotypical self-help rubbish, but it is true. If you are, for example, trying to lose weight, if you have a bad couple of days, like cheating on your diet and not going to the gym, it's very easy for you to feel like crap and for you to feel like, oh gosh, I failed, man. I don't know if I'm ever going to get back to where I was. But you've got to get out of that mindset. You got to get out that slump, bro. That's just your inner voice trying to tell you that you ain't good enough, that you can't get back on the saddle. And look, it doesn't mean going out and doing your personal best on the first day after a cheat day. Do you know what I mean? But it's just getting back into it, getting back into the rhythm, building some momentum, starting off bit by bit by bit, because that's the only way you're going to get back into it. If you try and go for a big leap after you failed, you're just going to end up right back where you were and feeling even worse than you were. And that's not good for anyone, especially yourself and your mental health. Every failure that I had last year taught me that I needed to change or do something a bit differently. For example, if we're talking about YouTube, I had so many low performing videos, especially at the start of the year when I was pumping out one week after week after week, and each thumbnail looked like it was generated by ChatGPT. Maybe they still do now, but it was worse back then, trust me. But even now, when I have a low performing video, like an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 video, and by the way, if you don't upload videos on YouTube, a 10 out of 10 is like your worst performing video, so you never want that as a creator. And trust me, it does deflate you, even now, but I've started to take lessons from these videos a bit. For example, maybe the thumbnail wasn't the best, maybe my intro was too long, maybe I just waffled for a bit, maybe I didn't have enough visuals or good enough story to carry it through to the end, and I try and carry it forward to the next video. For example, I think it was Ali Abdaal who said that you should only worry about how many subscribers you've got after 100 videos have been uploaded to your channel. And I'm not even halfway there. So I've still got a lot of mileage to go until I can start worrying about subscriber count. But please do subscribe because I kind of need the followers. But every setback has a silver lining. Every failure gives you a chance to learn the lesson from it. Just like I mentioned with the YouTube example and also with the gym example. Because last year, I stayed the same weight. I didn't put on loads of muscle, but thankfully, I didn't put on much fat either. So I was just kind of the same regular Joe for about a year. All last year, I was the same weight, about 78 kg. Heck, I even lost a bit of weight at one point. So, it wasn't great for me in the fitness field as well. But there's an opportunity for you to learn from it and grow from it. And that growth is going to help you get further than you ever did before. Because once you fail at something and learn how to grow from it once, it gives you again that dopamine rush. And then you can apply it to other failures that you've had, big or small. And you may not succeed at all of the reattempts that you have, but you're going to get close. And when you get close, you're going to get further than you did than if you never even tried in the first place. Please take that away from this video as well. And again, it's all about being consistent and taking small steps, because that's really where the momentum starts. The thing is, in life, everyone struggles, everyone fails. You just don't see the failures of those who've made it to the big time. The only difference between us and them is that they didn't quit. And when they got stuck, they just used those failures to somehow move forward. But if you quit, you're never going to give yourself a fair shot. So that's how I started to change my mindset and work towards setting myself up for a better year this year in 2025. So I hope this video has taught you that talking about your failures, whether in private or in public, and putting in the small steps to learn from those is an important skill in life. I mentioned earlier how important reflection is, but you may not know how to do it the right way. So to become a happier and more introspective person, you're going to want to check out this video right here. I'll see you there.